This is a bad idea. I know this is gonna put me in a reading slump, but I have to force myself to read some of these books. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellie. If you've never been here before, on this channel I upload whatever I want. If this is your first video that you're seeing from me, I take that very seriously. I do upload whatever I want. So if I want to upload teaching content, then I'm going to upload teaching content. If I want to upload bookish content, then I'm going to upload bookish content. As you can see, today's video is going to be bookish content, and I'm honestly terrified to film this video. I'm terrified, guys. I have too many books. I have owned some of my books for over 5 years. I've owned some of my books for less than 5 days, but I need to read them. I have so many beautiful books, 2 examples of my 2 most recent purchases that I just want to display, and I feel like I can't do that because I just keep shoving books onto my shelf in a way that bookshelves are not supposed to display. I have 2 rows back here. I have so many beautiful books back there that I would love to display that I can't because this is the only bookshelf I own. It does go down to my feet, but I don't own any other bookshelves in these. And you could say, Ellie, why don't you just buy more shelves so you can fit all of your books? And that's what most people might do. But unfortunately, I am buying more books than I am reading lately. And that is just not the most cost-effective solution, because if I have more space, I'm gonna think that I can fill my shelves, which would be okay with me if I was actually reading the books I was putting on my shelves. You can't really tell from this angle here, but we are in the process of renovating and remodeling and beautifying our home. I showed you in my last video our fully finished bathroom, and it looks stunning. And so we're moving on to new projects, and I'm just thinking as we move on, we are redecorating, and I'm just thinking in my head of all the beautiful shelving that I can put in to decorate my home with books and to just store my books, because I want my home to reflect me and Ryan as individuals, but also just like, I don't know, what we enjoy. Like our office reflects that. I feel like it has like just pieces of my hobbies, pieces of Ryan's hobbies, like filming and gaming and things like that. And I want that to reflect throughout the house. A coffee bar makes sense for me because I love making coffee. I love drinking coffee. Like envisioning how in the future I'm going to have more and more spaces to decorate my home with books. So with that in mind, I've been thinking there are so many books on my shelves that I don't want there. And could I unhaul them? Yes. However, I would be doing a lot of these books a disservice because I haven't read them. So the point of this video, I do have a big stack of books that I am going to be unhauling. I'm selling on pangobooks, so maybe I'll just link my pangobooks actually down in the description. I don't know if that's a good idea. But I'm selling books on pangobooks. I am going to be doing some unhauling to little free libraries in my area. I need to tackle my TBR. I think that's what I'm gonna name this series, is tackling my TBR. I listed every book and or series in a list, and I have 40 books or series. So for example, the Natural series, I listed this one time. I didn't list each book because that's just what makes sense in my head. So I have 40 books at the very least. It's more like 50 if I'm counting series. And I listed them by the date that the edition I have was published. So for example, the Library of Borrowed Hearts. This is one of my most recent purchases. Like I said, I bought this like 5 days ago. This was published in 2024. So we are in the year 2024. this would have one title listed, just the Library of Broken Hearts. It's not listed twice, right? Whereas the Help, this edition was published in 2009. So whatever 2024 minus 2009 is, it's listed that many times. I cut out that many pieces of paper. Ryan did help me cut and fold a little bit. 259 slips of paper in here. So I'm definitely borrowing this idea from a few different creators, both on TikTok and YouTube. This is not an original idea. I don't know if I've ever come up with an original idea, but I've definitely taken inspiration from people. I have seen this style of video going around YouTube, TikTok, people like pulling random numbers and counting that way. People just pulling titles out of a jar. I've recently really been inspired by a booktuber here on YouTube named Beth Morvant. She is doing a series called The Bookshelf Ultimatum. Please go watch that series. She's only on episode 4 and I'm waiting for the 5th episode to come out. I know it's going to come out soon because it's been 3 weeks. She is tackling her TBR that way. There's also a TikToker that I found recently. Her name is Kirby Buys Books on TikTok. And she's doing a physical TBR challenge where she has done it like Hunger Games style, this is where I got this inspiration from. Kind of like a reaping, where the older you are, if you've read the Hunger Games, you know, the older you are, the more chances there are, the odds are higher that you will be reaped to be a tribute in the Hunger Games, basically. I wanted to give all of my books a fair shot. So there are some books in here that are very old, and the chances of me pulling that book out are very high. I have to read the book. If I am allowed to DNF a book, but I have to read it. Like that's just, I just have to. I have to start it at the very least. I just finished a book a few hours ago. I'm definitely in a reading mood, so I just want to pull a book. Today's actually the 4th of July, so happy 4th of July to all of my fellow Americans. So we have family coming over very soon in like less than an hour. I want to read a little bit before people come, just because I don't want to lose my reading momentum. I don't want to enter a slump. And I think it's time. Just because I'm going to have a few days coming up soon where I won't have a lot to do, and I just really want to be reading. And I also kind of want to see how many books I am able to read on my physical TBR and maybe unhaul, because like I said, I need to clear my shelves. And I have a feeling a lot of these books I'm not going to like, but I just have to do it. I don't know the specifics of how I'm going to complete this challenge or complete this series. I don't know if I'm just going to pull a slip every time I read a book. I kind of told myself at least every other. Either way, all of my books, but these 2 that I just purchased, are on there or are in the bag. I don't think I'm going to add these to the bag just because it's just a nice number. There's 40 books or series in there, but also because I need to give my books a chance. So I'm going to call my husband in here because he asked me to be a part of this. He wants to see which book I pull. He's definitely been very encouraging in this aspect of my life right now. So I'm going to go call him and then we're going to pull our first slip. By the way, I'm keeping all 159 slips. Not 159, 459 slips. Here comes Ryan. In this old Jellycat bag. So, I'll show you guys how full it is. Like, guys, it's full. I'm really scared. I'm going to shake it up a little bit because this is a bad idea. I know it's going to put me in a reading slump, but I have to force myself to read some of these books. Like, I just have to. I spent money on them. My reading taste has definitely evolved since I bought some of these. Like, I bought a lot of my books when I was like 15, 16. I'm now 23. But I just have to give them at least a shot. I don't want to do this. I'm trying to mix them up. But some of them, it's just... I don't want to. Okay, I think I got one. Try not to grab multiple. Okay. My next read. This one's kind of chunk. Not a James Patterson. Okay, this one says, this one, okay, this is the Alex Cross series by James Patterson. For reference, I do not own every single book in the series, and especially with this series, I'm not going to own every book. I'm just going to read the ones that I have.
Unless you like it.
Unless I like it, but this is my second or third time trying to read this book already. This was entered 23 times. So I did not stand a chance with this one. But I'm going to find it because I own quite a few. I think it's this one actually. Yes. Either this one or this one is the first one. So I'm gonna do some investigating and then I'm gonna attempt to read one of these books. It's fine. I'm getting them out of my shelves. Also, the problem with this being entered 23 times is that there's 22 other slips of this book in there. And I'm probably gonna come across them as I pull, but I'm just gonna throw them away. I'm not gonna search for them. Obviously, that would take forever. So, I need to figure out which one of these came first. So I believe this one came first. I'm not reading the whole series. This was just for me to pick up the first one. So for example, like the Natural series, it will say the Natural series, and I'm not going to read the Naturals because I've already read that. I will read Killer Instinct when I pull that slip. So, all right, you guys, this is the first update in this installment of tackling the TBR. I have not updated you guys at all, so I feel like this is much needed. I started reading it, and thank God the chapters are so short. Like, I'm talking 2 to 3 pages each. There's like over 120, 130 chapters in that book, which is insane, but it does help with the flow of things. Like, you can pause pretty much whenever you want to. I was starting to read it. I got to maybe chapter like 4 and I left it in my mom's car. I've been going to my parents' house pretty frequently, but my mom works, so she's been gone. So my car is in, or my book is in her car at her place of work. And so I got a little desperate a couple days ago. Actually, I think this was yesterday. I got desperate yesterday and I looked at the audiobook. The audiobook was available on Libby. So I started listening to it, got to about chapter 15, I think. But I wasn't really paying attention. I'm just not vibing with it. So this morning I looked on Libby and the ebook was available. So I borrowed it and went back to like chapter 5-ish. I think it was like actually chapter 3, just so I can go back to where I stopped listening and refresh my memory and continue reading. So this morning I do have a little bit of time. I think I'm gonna eat and read at the same time, which I don't really enjoy doing when I have a physical book because I just don't want to make a mess, but with my iPad it's not as bad. So I'm gonna eat. I'm warming up some pizza rolls right now. That's gonna be my breakfast. So far it's not bad. It's not like off-putting. It's just I'm not super into it, but I do have to give it a chance, so I'm going to. My goal is to hopefully finish it by like in the next 2 days. I just have to push myself. I'm in a reading mood, which is a good thing. I'm not in a reading slump. I'm just not vibing with this book particularly. So, fingers crossed that we get the ball rolling in this whole tackling the TBR challenge. Because let me show you my bookshelves right now from this view. Guys, they're a hot mess. My house is a hot mess. But this is a hot mess. Like, the goal would be that this is not going to work with the current shelving that I have, but the goal for me is to have a TBR cart or a TBR shelf or something like that, where all of the books I haven't read are put in one place. Right now, all the books I own are put in one place, and I don't like that. What I was doing for a couple months was my TBR that I made, I had put out on my nightstand, and I really do like that. I just need bookends, and I don't own bookends, so I need to be on the hunt for those. I want the books that I have displayed on my shelves to be books that I love and I want there, or that have sentimental value to me, and right now that's not the case. So that's the whole purpose of this challenge. So this is the first update. I will keep you guys updated on what I think about the book, how it's going, when I finish it, and all of that. I look like a hot mess, so please ignore that. It's now the 11th of July. I don't know when I last updated you guys. Well, I think I updated you guys yesterday, but I don't remember when I started this little challenge. I think it was the 4th of July, so it's been a week. I am making progress in this book. I am on page 138 of 251, at least in the ebook version of Roses Are Red, 55%, so I'm over halfway. I will say it's starting to pick up, but my thoughts right now that I'm over halfway through, I'm leaning kind of towards a 2-star. It's not terribly bad to where it's a 1-star. There's just some things I'm picking up that I'm like, what? Either did that need to be included, or it's a plot hole, and I'm pretty sure it's not just my brain not paying attention. And there's 2 storylines going on, and the 2 storylines are in 2 different point of views. So one's in like first person, one's in third person, and it's just hard to switch because there's no like introduction like Alex or the mastermind. It just starts a new chapter in that point of view. And so especially when you have an ADHD brain like mine, it's hard to like switch between those so quick because my brain takes forever to finally get into like actual retaining information mode. It takes me a while. Like I have to read some pages over and over to finally like enter that like mindless activity mode where I'm not consciously reading, I'm just like taking in the information. And I keep getting pulled out of that within this book, and I think it is because of the multiple storylines. Also, I'm just not interested in either storyline. I'm more interested in one than the other, but they're just both not really like entertaining me. Granted, I am in the middle of a series. I just picked up a random book, but I'm pretty sure these are interconnected standalones, so I should be able to just pick up a book anyways. And I think switching between the modes is actually helping my brain. Switching between audio, ebook, and the physical book, which I've read probably the least amount of. I literally, guys, probably got to chapter 3 in the physical book and then I left it in my mom's car. Mind you, the chapters in this book are I would say 2 to 3 pages each. Hopefully by the end of today I can at least update you guys that I'm either done or I can for sure finish soon, you know, because I definitely want to move on to the next book. All right guys, it's been a while since I updated you. Guess what I finished? I finished Roses Are Red by James Patterson. I rated it 2.5 on Goodreads. The second half was better for sure. It was kind of hard to get into in the beginning, and then it picked up and I was reading it constantly. I'm not gonna give you my full review. I'll give you my full review at the end because I'm just gonna hold off. And I'm gonna pick my next book. I did decide that I'm gonna do 2 books in this episode. You know what time it is. Ryan is hoping that I get the 2nd book in this series. Well, it's actually the 7th book in the series, but I hope I don't get that right now. I need a break. I'm hoping I get something newer. I will say this ended in a cliffhanger, so picking up the 2nd one would not be bad, or the 7th one would not be bad. However, it's just a no for me, dog. I got the Jellycat bag. Also, hopefully this next one doesn't take me an entire week to read, but a week isn't that bad actually. Last time I thought by picking a thick one it would be like one that only had one. I was mistaken. It was just the last one that I picked out. But also I feel like if it's super thin, it's not good.
I feel like you're cheating right now.
Okay, fine. Okay, grabbed one. And it's thin.
What is it?
It's To All the Boys I Loved Before. To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I do not own the series. It's actually right here.
How many are in there?
I think 3. I do not own the series.
I meant the slips.
Oh, sorry. But there is 10 slips in here.
It's 10 years old?
Yeah, this book is 10 years old. Yay! Palette cleanser! I'm so excited, guys. I love this movie to death, and I love this franchise to death, like the movie franchise. Like, the first movie is always the best. I'm about to rewatch it too as soon as I finish this. I'm so excited, guys. This is actually so good for me because I needed a break from a book that I knew I would not enjoy. So yay. Okay guys, so update. I'm on page 12, chapter 3. So I've barely made a dent in it. But I do have some initial thoughts. This is one of the rare occasions where I feel like I'm glad I watched the movie before I read the book. Okay, it's not that I'm not enjoying this, I really am. Like, so far I have no issues with it at all. I do, however, feel like I'm not the target audience, which, of course, it's a YA romance. Like, it literally says ages 12 and up on the back. If I was in middle school or like in high school, I think I would have really related to Lara Jean in a way that I don't have to think about it. And I actually just watched a vlog from Kyra Edwards, and she was reading a Lynn Painter book. And she, like, now I feel like I relate to her because she was just saying that as an adult, it's kind of simple and you're kind of like, you know, like sometimes it's a little cheesy or things like that, which there's literally no romance has happened in the first 12 pages. But some of the things that Lara Jean does are just kind of like, I wouldn't do them or I wouldn't think that way. But then I have to like make the effort mentally to remember that she's, I don't even know how old she is, but she's not older than 16, 17. Like, she's very young. She's like probably barely starting high school. So like I have to remember that, and then when I do, I'm like, yes, I'm enjoying this. It makes sense the way she describes things. It makes sense the things that she's doing because she's literally like 15, 16 years old. I feel like I know Lara Jean already because I've seen the movie and because it's just so good. Like, the movie is so good that I feel like that helps me to get into her headspace because I already, like, I feel like Lana Condor did so good when she acted as Lara Jean. Like, she just really brought her personality to life, and I feel like I just picture her in everything that she's doing so far in the book. So I will say I'm really, really enjoying this, and I'm so happy to continue. Okay guys, skincare is on. It is barely 8:30. My goal is to read basically until I fall asleep tonight. So that's the plan. I don't know the last time I updated you guys, but I'm on page 99 now. I'm loving it. I'm obsessed. I'm excited to continue. I would like to finish this by tomorrow night because we are going on like a little weekend getaway to Seattle. We're gonna go to a Mariners game and we're just gonna hang out with family. And I would like to take a different book with me. So that's the goal, and I'm really excited. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm gonna read right now. We'll see how much I can get done. All right, guys, we've reached the end of this video, which means I have finished To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. Before I get into my thoughts on both books, I do want to talk about the fact that I am just so pumped to continue this series. Like, I'm just so excited. I will say, in the past month, I've purchased 4 books. We'll get to this in a second. I am 2 books down. I'm so excited to continue and really just see how many books I can unhaul, because that's really the goal, is unhauling right now. But I started this series because the whole point is that I own so many books that I purchased, example A, that I purchased because I saw something somewhere, that I purchased because I saw, oh, a book sale, every book is $1. Let me just grab as many as I can. Or this cover is so cute, I'm gonna read this book. And then never getting to the book. And majority of the books on my shelves currently, that is the case for. Books that I bought without the intention of ever even reading them, but I feel so bad and I just can't get rid of them without at least giving them a chance. So, with that being said, I will get into the future of this series because this was the first episode, so it's kind of like a trial run, but I think I do have it figured out for the most part of where it's going to continue. There's not going to be major changes, but just some things to note in the future. So let's get into my thoughts for the books that I've read. I read 2 books in this episode. That will probably be about what I continue to do, so there'll be maybe like 20 episodes of this. I don't know how frequently I'm gonna upload these or even film these. I guess it mainly depends on if I just want to read a book randomly or if I want to be able to choose my book. The first book that I read in this series as a whole, but especially in this video, was Roses Are Red by James Patterson. This book is a part of a series called the Alex Cross series, I believe. All I know is they all revolve around the main character, who's a detective. His name is Alex Cross. This is the 6th book in the series. I also own the 7th book in the series. This book is in the Jellycat bag, so it will eventually probably get pulled. If it were up to me, I wouldn't continue the series. I would just unhaul both of them, which I still might. But the second half of this book engaged me enough to possibly pick this one up. So I'm not sure yet. I do have a lot of books to unhaul just in general. So also Ryan's mowing the lawn, so if you hear that, that's what that is. We're just gonna keep rolling with it because I do not have time to just wait, so it's okay. Basically in this book, there is a series of bank robberies / murders, and he is trying to investigate and get down to the bottom of it. Whodunit situation. One thing I didn't really enjoy about this book and possibly this series, I don't know if the other books do this, but there's like multiple storylines going on at once. It's still all on the same timeline and the same character, but it was just kind of flipping back and forth. There was the perspective from the mastermind, who is the antagonist in this story. And there wasn't like headers before each chapter, so especially when listening to the audiobook, it was hard to switch back and forth between perspectives and between characters. The first half dragged, the second half really picked up, and I honestly couldn't stop reading it. I read this book in 3 different formats. I read it physically, digitally, and I listened to it on audiobook, which I do have to give credit to this book for. I think now I feel like I've branched out and I can start reading books on my iPad. This is the first book that I read on my iPad and I really enjoyed it. So I already like borrowed a totally different book on Libby. But we'll see. For sure, the next book that I pick, I will probably look into reading it digitally as well. We'll see. It kind of depends on the vibe. Like I said, first half definitely dragged. And then also I could do without the necrophilia. There was just some things that didn't need to be included. And I just wasn't super invested in all of the characters to really care. So in the end, I rated this book 2 stars. And this book will be an unhaul, which is good because the whole purpose of this is to unhaul books. Not gonna keep this one. The second book I read in this video is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. This book, you guys, I loved it from beginning to end. I already am obsessed with the movie on Netflix. I enjoy the series of movies on Netflix, but I think the first one is my favorite, and it just holds a special place in my heart. I love that movie. So going into this, I was super excited. I just have to say, the book, I don't want to say the book is so much better. I honestly think I hold them at equal value. I am obsessed with Lara Jean. Like, I see so much of my teenage self and even bits and pieces of my current self in her. Everything she says, everything she thinks, everything she does, I would do, or like I have thought, or I have said. Like, I just I relate to her and I resonate and connect with her so much. Like, I didn't want it to end because I just felt like I didn't want to like say goodbye to Lara Jean. Like, as much as this book and the movie is marketed as like a romance, like a YA romance, I think this is so much more like it's almost like a coming of age. Like, we see so much of Lara Jean and her maturity, especially as her older sister Margot leaves to college, and she just kind of has to take on the role of like big sister and almost like mother in a way. Like, I loved this book. I also really like Peter Kay, but I've always liked Peter Kay. But literally, guys, I finished this last night. I binged this, the last 100+ pages, for 2 hours last night. I wasn't tired. I just kept going. Checked the time. It was 1:30 in the morning. And I was like, oh, well, I finished it. 5 stars. I rated this 5 stars. I was so excited to pick up the next one just because this one ends in a different way than the movie does. I need to rewatch the movie to like make sure, but I'm pretty sure. So I needed to pick up the next one. I went on pangobooks and I bought it. I just had to. Like, I need it desperately. I'm just so obsessed. And this is not an unhaul. This is staying on my shelves. Like, I need to store this. I need to be reminded. I need to flip through whenever I just want to read Lara Jean's thoughts. Like, I'm so obsessed. So I'm keeping this. I'm super excited to see in my next video of this series, you're going to see my face in this outfit, because right after I'm done filming these videos, I'm going to start the next video of me picking the next slip. I'm really excited. I will say, let me give my final thoughts on the challenge as a whole, because I'm really going to be diving deep into this, as well as like rules that I have for myself / just like things to keep in mind. I just showed you guys the stack of 4 books that I have recently hauled in the past month, and I just told you about the one I just bought, so that's 5 books already. This was kind of a weird month for me. It is the summertime, and I had a lot to do in July. I went on a couple trips. I went to a couple bookstores, which is not necessarily like a frequent occurrence for me. This is not going to be the norm. 1, because I just don't frequent bookstores, especially throughout the school year. But 2, because I'm going to be holding myself to a limit. So, every 3 books that I read, I'm going to allow myself the option to buy a book. I'm not going to buy a book. If I don't feel like buying a book, I'm not going to buy one. That means at the end of it all, I will have maybe, what is that, like 30 books? Not even. 25. It'll be about 25 books that I have added to my shelves, max. Which sounds like a lot, but in the perspective of putting all of those books like on a cart or in one area, it's not too much. And that's max. That's 25 max. That's not automatically 25. So I will be allowing myself to pick up every 3 books that I read from here. It's also not every 3 books that I read, because let's say I want to read the 7-Year Slip and then I want to read 3 on my own. That doesn't count. It has to be 3 that I've read in a row, pulled from the Jellycat bag. So that's note to remember, rule number 1 for me. Second, I am not going to be adding all of the books that I'm hauling to the bag, because then this will be never ending. And I also want my books to be refreshed. My bookshelves just don't scream joy to me anymore, because there are so many books that I just don't want. I don't want to read, and I need to unhaul. So I feel like once I get through all the books I don't want and I unhaul them, and all I have left are the books that I've read and enjoyed and new books that I feel like I will enjoy, I will just be so happy with the challenge, with my shelves, with myself. So I'm not going to be adding my new books for that reason. Second reason is I don't want to spend time reading those new books right now. I really need to dedicate time to reading books like Roses Are Red, whatever else is on this shelf, because I just really like, I need to push myself to get through those books. By the end of this, I will have so many new books, but also way less books on my shelves. At least that's my prediction. I see so many books on this shelf that I just really don't think are my vibe anymore, my genre of reading, my taste. it's just, I just feel it. So I really think that I'm gonna get through these books and have a lot clearer shelves. And then by the time I'm actually done, who knows what my house will look like. We will be decorating. There will be so many more places that I can store my books. I'm thinking of putting floating shelves in my office like actually really soon. So I will be able to move books to there. So I've been kind of thinking about all the books that I've bought recently, especially the ones that I know for a fact are not going to be in that bag, and just moving them to a new location entirely, just so I can really focus on these shelves. I will keep rambling on and on forever if I continue talking, so I'm gonna stop. If you like this series, please give me some feedback on it. Give me a like if you like it. Comment down below if you have any thoughts, positive criticism, any ideas as to, like, I don't know. But I love reading. I love making book content, even though it's few and far between, both reading and reading content. But this is really fun for me. So I'm super excited for the next episode that I'm literally gonna start today. And yeah, I'm just so excited to introduce this to my channel. So if you like me, please subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.